More than 24 states are still working to block the release of 3D printed gun blueprints. At least 8 states and the District of Columbia are suing the Trump administration for allowing a Texas company to resume distribution of the blueprints as early as tomorrow. More than 20 state attorneys general have asked the State Department to intervene. The company behind the blueprints argues it is protected by freedom of speech. In a tweet this morning, President Trump said he's looking into the issue and that he already spoke to the NRA. Tony Dokoupil has what's next in this legal debate.
The goal will be to communicate to the court that we want to shut this down immediately.
A lawsuit filed Monday by Democratic Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson says the release of blueprints for 3D printed guns on the internet would make the lethal weapons available to virtually anyone.
When it comes to something as basic as public safety, this is a giveaway for terrorists.
8 other Democratic state attorneys general are now joining Ferguson's suit against the Trump administration. In April, the federal government settled a lawsuit with the nonprofit Defense Distributed, allowing the company to publish digital schematics for 3D printed guns. In a statement to CBS, the State Department says the decision to settle the case was made in the interest of the security and foreign policy of the United States.
I think almost without exception that people have a right to this kind of data regarding anything.
5 years ago, Defense Distributed founder Cody Wilson introduced the Liberator, a single-shot handgun made almost entirely of 3D printed plastic. On August 1st, blueprints for guns ranging from the Liberator to an AR-15 style assault rifle will be available for download from Defense Distributed for free.
You cannot regulate the digital material of guns anymore. It's out there.
The so-called ghost guns don't have serial numbers and are therefore untraceable and require no background checks. That's something Ferguson warns is a threat to national security.
And who pays the cost? The public. It's outrageous.
Is it the end of gun control? I think it is in an essential sense.
CBS News correspondent Tony Dokoupil is in a gun store in Austin, Texas. All right, Tony, break this down for us. How do these 3D printers make guns?
Let me just set up the big picture for you first, and then we can walk through the arguments on both sides. This, I think most people will recognize. It's an AR-15 style rifle. It's for sale here at Central Texas Gun Works for about $600. This is a computer-controlled milling machine. Now, this thing can actually finish parts to make one of those, an AR-15, at home. That means no background check. That means no serial number. It's not traceable. This to work requires digital files, blueprints, and this machine is similar to the 3D printers, which also require digital files and blueprints. It's those files falling into the wrong hands that has some gun safety advocates worrying this could be really, really dangerous. Now, the counter argument, the argument for allowing these files to be published online, to be freely disseminated for sales of these machines and 3D printing of guns out of plastic, the case for all that happening is, look, the Second Amendment is an absolute right. We can bear arms in this country. That can't be taken away. This is essentially an insurance policy against some sort of regime in the future that would try to retrench, take guns out of people's hands. This is an uncontrollable technology. In essence, that's what people who believe in it argue. If this exists, guns can never be regulated out of existence. This, in essence, if you believe in this technology, is the death of gun control as we know it. So that's the case for. The case against is being made by these attorneys general, and they're saying, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. You can have the Second Amendment, and you can also have some common sense precautions to avoid having machines like this and weapons like that get into the hands of people who have no business with a gun, terrorists, mentally ill people. And there are cases in recent years of people making their own rifles and guns at home and then having shoot-offs with police, killing people, killing themselves, killing others. So there are real stakes here. There are real lives at stake. Guys.
Yeah, and I would think that, plastic guns are not going to set off a metal detector, so I imagine these are the sorts of guns that you can take places that you wouldn't be able to sneak another gun into. But here's the thing, Tony. These blueprints have already been downloaded. They're already out there circulating. So what's the next legal battle for those who oppose the release of these blueprints?
Well, they're out there and they're circulating, but first of all, we should differentiate between a milling machine like this, which works with metal parts that come partially finished and then are completed by the machine. A 3D printer uses a hard plastic to build a gun completely out of plastic, and you're right, that would be largely undetectable by a metal detector. The blueprints are online, that is true. However, they are not widely disseminated. It's not really, really easy to get the technology in your house and to start pressing buttons and making guns. Cody Wilson and his company, Defense Distributed, they help bridge the gap for the uninitiated person and this technology. It makes it easier, makes it more open, makes it more available. And so a person who doesn't have a lot of technological savvy, isn't very capable of navigating the dark web or hidden corners of the internet where this stuff is out there, it's a free-for-all for them. That is why these lawsuits are going forward. Now, how enforceable the lawsuits are, for example, Pennsylvania already has a judge that has said, look, even if these blueprints go online on Wednesday, people in the state of Pennsylvania aren't going to be able to access them. And Defense Distributed is saying, okay, if you have an IP address from Pennsylvania, you can't download the gun. But there are ways around IP addresses. So enforcing these attempts to block publication of these gun blueprints, a lot of holes, and not clear how it can really be done. Cody Wilson, in his company offices not far from here, has a tombstone, and he's tweeted a picture of this. And on the tombstone, it says American Gun Control. So I think the message is pretty clear from his point of view. This technology, freely available, is the death of gun regulation as we know it.
Very interesting. All right, Tony Dokoupil, thank you so much.
You bet.